I'm going to call the meeting to order by Zoom, and I would ask people to, members and alternates to identify themselves. Nanette Falkenberg, Chair.
Steve
Karen
Meyer,
Compton,
alternate.
oh, go ahead.
I just was going across the board.
Margaret Miner, regular member.
Karen Compton.
Jim Kelly, alternate.
Okay. So we don't have here Nancy and Bill. I will move up Steve Meyer. Julie, I don't have to say for which, do I have to identify in whose seat I'm moving people up?
You don't have to. If you have a preference, that's fine.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'm going to move Steve Meyer up into Nancy Schoenholz's seat and Jim Kelly up into Bill Davies' seat. So welcome Jim Kelly to his first meeting where he's now serving as a seated member. Jim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jim Kelly. We've had a home here in Roxbury now for 5 years. I live at 71 Old Tophet Road, and spend, now thanks to the pandemic, we spend most of our time here. So anyway, and I'm very happy to be on this board.
And we are happy to have you, and we are looking forward to a time when we can all actually have a meeting in person.
Same here.
So I will update the Zoning Board of Appeals on the matter of Alan Barish and Renee Weiner, 143 North Street. So when Julie was doing the final checking on the status of the application, Julie was not able to locate notice to abutters. She checked with the applicant's agent, and in fact, notice to the abutters was not sent timely, or just wasn't sent, Julie?
It wasn't sent.
It wasn't sent.
It wasn't sent, and they were going to do it that day. And I said, "You're 2 days away," and that's when I called you. And it's 7-day requirement, like you told me.
So they're going to have to do a proper notice, and then we will hear that, assuming they do a proper notice to the abutters, we will hear that next month. And so now I would call the second application, and Julie, if you would read the formal notice, that would be great.
Yes. Okay, this was sent to the Voices, and it was actually published on the town website too. It was published January 5th and January 12th. And the town of Roxbury, the Roxbury Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 20th, 2022 at 7 p.m. on Zoom to consider the application of Jill Seisner, Assessor's Map 16, Lot 003, located at 134 River Road, Case File 2021-0088, variance to build a 254 square foot addition, which includes a new covered porch across the front of the dwelling, and converting an existing porch into living space, and refer to zoning regulation variance from 3.10.6. At this hearing, all interested persons may be present, and oral and written communications will be accepted. The documents related to this application can be reviewed on the Town of Roxbury website at www.roxburyct.com. And then our Zoom information follows.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
I think that Sue is joining us.
Sorry,
So
had a little technical trouble.
So Sue, we've delayed the first application because the proper notice to abutters wasn't sent.
Right.
And we've moved up Steve and Jim Kelly in Nancy and Bill Davies' seats.
Okay.
And we're about to, Julia's just read the notice, and we're just about to ask Jill to present her application.
Okay, thank you.
So Jill, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, it's very nice to meet you all. I'm Jill Seisner. I live at 134 River Road. I too love being in Roxbury. I'm new here, so I'm just about maybe almost a year and a half, a little over a year since we moved here. And it's great. So I've never been to a zoning board meeting before. I've never filled out an application. I've never owned a house before. So this is all quite new for me. But so, you know, there are two objectives for this project. One being that we're looking to build some more living space, which would be, you know, an extra bedroom I have two teenagers, I have aging parents who stay with us a lot. So there's more need for extra living space. But at the same time, I want to achieve more outdoor space, right? And what's really special about my house, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it on River Road, but it's you know, set very close to the woods, which is very beautiful and fun for us, but not so easy when you want to do an expansion like this. So I think it's important to look at the photos because, you know, there is a significant hardship as to the terrain behind the house. We've labeled this as the front of the house, right? The area where I want to do the work is at the front, right there, where you could see there's an existing porch to the right. That's what I'd like to enclose to make a bedroom, and then extends the porch now in front of the rest of the house. The thing is here that this front of the house faces to the side, so it doesn't face to the street. So we will be building sideways, not closer to the street, but I understand already that I'm non-compliant with the way the house is situated. So we can't do this type of you can see on that bottom picture, I guess that's probably the best to show you where the hill starts, right behind the house. So that would probably be the ideal space it would be ideal. It would be furthest from the road if we were able to build backwards, but it's all wooded and it's all sloped. So it's a pretty significant hardship, I'd say, as far as being able to do any type of building back there. I'm just thinking maybe, Julie, the first picture, I think it's the top one, just shows the view from the road right there.
Yes.
So you can see how the house faces to the side. That's the side that it's technically the front, but that's where I want to build the porch across. And then you can see behind the house how it's sloped. It's a sloped terrain. What am I missing? What else can I provide to you guys?
Tell us a little bit about the impact on the nonconformity, the scale of the additions or the expansions.
Yeah, and so I know in the application I have the dimensions, but actually this picture, the second picture, you can see where the existing staircase ends. That's really that's for the most part as far out as we're gonna go. So I think it was 243 square feet in total. It's just a few. Maybe we'll scroll to the application to get the exact dimensions. So you could see how much from that spot where I guess remove the stone wall and then just put some sort of flooring down and roof, and that's where the porch will be extending just to about the distance where those existing staircase is. I'm trying to do my best to work with the house as it is. I also hope this is an affordable option for me is, as to simplicity, since I'm going to be able to use that back porch and just enclose it to make a small bedroom.
So
think,
essentially, oh, sorry, am I allowed to ask something now?
Okay with me?
Nanette, is it okay with you?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a good, you see, that's what it looked, after looking at the photographs, you see how to the right, we're enclosing the existing porch. That's like what becomes the bedroom. And then just extending the porch across with the roof.
So the addition is, the addition is basically that small space.
So the addition is not getting us much more square feet. It's just enclosing. It's enclosing a porch that's already there. But I would imagine you're also assuming the additional porch is considered addition as well. Because it's technically, it's not there right now. But
Well,
the actual living space, yeah. I'm sorry.
you have really two separate things going on. You want to enclose the porch in the back,
Mhm.
which faces the slope, correct?
No.
It doesn't face the slope, it faces the side of the house, so the slope is but where you see that little balcony up top?
Yes.
That's the real back of the house. That's what faces the slope.
So the
And-
part you're closing in faces the slope.
Maybe should we go back to the photographs, Julie? You think that's easiest?
Right, go to the top,
Yeah, that one right there.
That one right there.
Yeah. So that's what you're closing in.
Yep.
And what's adjacent to that?
There's a stone wall there when the slope starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what so that's what I was saying. It's
Yeah.
where the slope is.
And I think
Okay.
the bottom
And then the
picture
second-
also.
And then
Yeah.
the second piece is the porch in the front. It's really two separate pieces.
Yeah, because
that we're talking about.
I mean, there's two things. I mean, I eat a lot when I go there into this house, when I'm in the house, right? I'm thinking all the things. I love to be outside. We need a place to sleep, right? So these are like, other than using the kitchen, I mean, this is when I'm taking away this porch to build the bedroom, I'd like to add on the additional porch.
I understand.
One. Yeah.
I understand. For our purposes, though, for us to understand it, it's really two separate, there's really two separate issues that face us. So I just want to also point out, Jill, to you and to just acknowledge for the rest of the commission, the board, that there were quite significant changes and modifications to the nonconformity section of the zoning regs that went into effect in November. And so this is the first, and your application came in sort of right in the middle of that. So technically, the number that you have on your application is no longer correct. And this is not a mistake that you made. It's just it happened in a transition. So I think that from my reading of it to the commission, to the board, I think we're now looking at 3.10.6.
What, can you, the number, not the number of square feet or something, the number of the zoning regulation? Is that what?
3.10.6. Julie had sent out the revised zoning regulations a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And this section was the zoning board pretty dramatically revised the this section 3.10. So, Julie, is there a way for us to just sort of see each other and see Jill for a minute while we talk about this?
Sure, let me stop it. Stop the share.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to take a minute to explain this to Jill. There is no right to expand in a non-conforming in a non-conforming property. And in fact, as the new regulations make actually clearer than they did before, that a non-conforming property shall not be expanded or changed and that they shall be changed to conformity as quickly as the fair interests of the owners permit. So what happened what happened about 2 or 3 years ago was the commission made an exception, which is to allow property to be expanded back behind the where your stone wall is at this point, up to 25%. So that was an exception. And my reading, and I'm interested to hear from other members of the commission, is that the new regulations really have clarified that that is an exception. And really what you're asking for is an exception to the exception. So, pardon? Was somebody?
Hello?
Keep going.
So I think.
Nanette, you're saying that the zoning regulations have been walked back to, that it's not like a given that that an applicant is a Roxbury resident can request to, in a non-conforming, residence, that it's not a given that people can request a 25% addition to their property?
Yes, but they can't request, the 25% addition has to go back. It has to go backwards from the street. And so what I understand Jill to be asking for is, I can't go backwards because of the stone wall and the slope. So I want an exception to that exception. And that's what I'm saying. I think the new regs clarify we can't do.
But I thought that the issue of topography was considered to be, like the ultimate hardship. That's why somebody would. So if somebody, not what Jill or whoever, if somebody wants to go back, if somebody cannot go back because of topography, you're saying the new regulation says you can't do anything? Is that how you interpret that?
This is Margaret. The new regulation states rather firmly you cannot do a lateral extension. It can only go straight back. So that's the new regulation. How it applies to us exactly, I have some questions, but the this applicant may be coming in, as you're suggesting, with a genuine hardship that would be applicable even if there weren't this new
Hmm.
25%, but the 25%, we've looked at that, I think, recently as something that is reasonable, that, as Nanette's saying, it's an exception to an exception, which is a little tricky. But I think that the basic 25% is very clearly only to be in the back with no lateral extension.
Steve, do you have anything to add here?
I mean, I think it's sort of, I guess the word I would use is sort of inartful, because essentially my understanding of an application would be that the person has a hardship and they want to be exempt from certain zoning regulation. What I think you're now saying is that with the change, which I had read, and I was curious about it, is that the only way you can extend the non-conforming uses to the rear, which I don't know, from a point of view as a lawyer, it would seem to me that that's sort of unfair to people situated such as this applicant, where they just can't, where essentially because of whatever it is, wetlands or topography, that, you can't go backwards. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's first impression. Let me ask you one question, which came up for me is, was their application before or after the new regulation was put into place?
Julie?
That is a good question. Let me see if I can get the website up, because it didn't, because technically, I know Jill started talking about this back in October,
Mhm.
and she originally tried submitting the application right before Thanksgiving and was missing some key little areas of, measurement, and then she brought it back around December 13th.
So
I
that
know.
would have been after the new zoning regs
Yes.
were passed. Okay.
And they were effective as of when they were passed?
November 4th.
Okay.
So Steve,
Can I ask a dumb question?
Sure. There are no dumb
there
questions.
are no dumb questions.
Oh, wait till you hear this one.
All right.
So, if under the old zoning rules, would we even be considering this?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
So, because I was a little
Yeah.
confused, I thought the new zoning rules actually made it easier, but it was only you could do it in the back. Under the old zoning rules, would this have been permissible?
no.
That's what I thought, because my impression was the new zoning rules actually created an opportunity that the old zoning rules wouldn't allow to have happen. So the timing of the application, it doesn't seem relevant to me, because if the old zoning rules are still in effect, this still would not be allowed. Is that my interpretation correct?
So let me, this is what I think is the answer. What the old zoning, what both the new and the old regs allow is for a 25% expansion backwards without a variance.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right.
Is you can expand a nonconformity 25% backwards without coming to ZBA for a variance. If you can't meet that, then you can come to ZBA and ask for a variance. But what I don't think you're asking for is a variance to the 25% expansion. I think you're asking for a straight variance to the fact that the house is non-conforming. I don't think the 25% rule comes into effect here. I think the house is non-conforming. They can't do the 25%. So the house is non-conforming. They want to expand it. And the hardship is topography.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think in that, the other, I think, made it easier. The new regulation sort of said, listen, you want to go backwards, we're going to be okay with it. And subject to wetlands and other considerations. But I think here we're looking at, what would be a normal application for a variance.
I kind of feel that way too.
I do as well.
Jim, are you with us?
I'm with you. I can't say I wholly understand it, but if the board believes that this is an acceptable variance, then I will agree with that.
So
Okay,
I
that's-
think what we now have to do is to consider it under a straight request for a variance based on topography. And then personally, where it gets me to is, does this meet the requirements for a variance when given all of, I'm saying that. Jim, I think you aren't aware, but we've been struggling the last couple of years with some pretty restrictive court cases, which I know Steve has also acquainted himself with. And so that's where I am now back to is variances are supposed to be rarely granted. And so I'm back where the court cases took us, which is why, and then I will, I'll stop, which is why I was asking Jill before. I think we're faced with two separate issues. I think closing in the porch, where it essentially faces away from the street, is a separate issue than whether to grant a variance for a new porch across the front of the house. I think we might find differently on those two issues.
I understand. I see what
Can I ask a question? Is the applicant on the phone now? No, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm Jill.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you can
I'll
say
wait
whatever
till
you want.
later.
It's
I'll wait
okay.
till later then. I'm sorry.
So,
Margaret?
yeah, I was just going to ask, I believe that the application that we're looking at increases the nonconformity by 7 or 8 feet. And I think that's one of the first things you might wonder if that's necessary. Do I have that right? I'm working from the cell phone, so, but I'm sure I think there's one section of the application that increases the nonconformity by somewhat less than 10 feet.
The distance from the left side property line is now 45 feet. And after the expansion, it would be 37 feet. So it's about an 8-foot difference, Margaret.
On the drawings, it shows that. It shows the 8 feet.
Yeah.
So Margaret, yes, you're correct.
What property line or where's the property line that we're talking about to the?
It's the left side.
Left side.
Even though I'm confused, this porch that Jill wants to enclose, to me, is on the right side.
That was my question.
Did not?
Are you supposed to be looking away from the street or towards the street? How do you it's
You're
if
looking
you're looking
from-
at the house.
If we're looking from the street, if I'm looking at,
So it's to the right.
yeah,
It's
that's
away
what I
from the
thought.
street. Yeah.
Okay, so your application has it backwards,
Maybe I put it backwards.
huh?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, this is important.
The right or the left?
Well,
Well, why don't, can we look at something at the architectural drawings or where the property line is? Can we look at something to see?
I also have Julie in there from the, what do you call the terrain drawings.
That is right here. This is the road. The
So-
enclosed porch is back here at the rear of the house. So the front of the house is actually on the side of the house.
Correct.
Mhm.
And that is the rear.
right, and
And
it's
just to
Julie,
be
is that,
absolutely 100% sure, the front of the house, which is the side of the house, I know, but the front of the house with the unusual windows, that is untouched.
Yes, I'm not
Right.
coming any closer. I'm not doing anything on that side of the house. Yes.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
But if I look at the side of the house, I am going to see where the porch extended from the
Yeah,
side of the house.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
got it. Understood.
yeah.
And so where's this property line that we're talking about? I don't see, so,
There you go. There.
There we go.
If you look at. If you look at the final as-built, the zoning location survey, you can sort of see the property line
Yep, sorry.
and the road.
this is the A2 survey.
Right.
Mhm.
and so this, so under that little green thing, that's what the property line we're talking about? Parcel,
Well, the property lines where the wetlands are.
right,
It's the blue line past it. Yeah.
yes.
So you can see the little steps there, right? So that's those steps there is where as far out, it's not going past that.
And it's not enclosed.
And the porch is shown.
Yeah,
There's
and the
no-
porch is that little box all the way to the back. So it
And-
is the back, but I'm here presenting my case because technically the building's not going to the back, it's going to the side because I have a hardship to the back with the
Mhm.
terrain.
When you enclose the porch, will the stone wall remain? Because I assume that's
Mhm.
necessary for
Yeah.
drainage. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's get all of our questions to Jill answered, and then I'm gonna close the public hearing and we'll go into the regular meeting. So are there more questions for Jill?
I have one
Yeah,
question.
just to clarify, the existing open porch that you want to enclose, are you adding any square footage to that?
Yeah, there is slightly.
Well, how much square? What are you doing with
I'm
that?
sorry, I have to look at so it's gonna be less than the 8 feet, right? So if we're coming out, it's coming out to the edge of those steps, right? So it's gonna come out a little bit. Maybe that is the 8 feet from the back as well. It's gonna be 8 feet across.
What's gonna be 8 feet across?
The porch and
No.
the enclosed porch structure
The
is gonna
enclosed
go
porch,
straight across.
that's 8 feet. That's 8 feet wide, or 8.5 feet.
It's coming
Yeah.
forward. Is that
The
correct?
new,
Is it-
the new
How
porch,
far is the porch coming, with the existing porch coming forward before it's enclosed?
It will, so that all the way across for the whole house, it will be 8 feet out, right? Which will get you to the end of those existing steps.
So
Straight
the
across.
question is, how much are you expanding the existing porch?
Julie, can you scroll down where I have the picture of the drawing with the measurements of the existing structure versus the proposed structure? So, keep going. I had added an extra PDF with the dimensions. Past these drawings. Past this. Past this.
That's it.
Oh, maybe it shows it there, but if not here, it's, there's the existing. I don't think that has dimensions on it, right?
No,
Oh.
if you did something.
You can see the 13, if we keep going to the other one, but you can see 13 feet there, but you can see there's already, like, there's an alcove for where the existing porch is. So it's not the full 13 feet.
Okay.
But if we scroll
see.
down a little more, there's another drawing. Past this whole set. Past this.
The measurements.
No, keep going. This. See the addition right there. I don't know.
Yeah, now you can see it.
Yeah.
With the original box is the existing porch and you're adding forward.
Yeah, just adding forward.
Jim, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
I had a question. At the very top of the application, which I cannot pull up quite right now, is there a total square footage before and after? And in my copy, it was crossed out, Julie, and a corrected numbers were written in. Are those numbers relevant? Can you bring them up or tell me what they are?
The existing building coverage is 1,558 square feet currently. Margaret, is this what you're asking for?
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
And the proposed building coverage would be 1,812 square feet.
And that includes the closed-in porch and the new porch, or just the closed-in porch?
It couldn't include the new porch and the closed-in porch.
So just the closed-in porch.
No, that includes everything. That's
That
everything.
includes everything. The
Yeah.
house itself is
everything.
817. The addition
Well,
is
it's-
101 and the porch
yeah.
is 208.
The 817 was one floor. That's why I crossed it
Yeah.
out. I had to add the second floor. So yeah. But the
Oh.
total
Got it.
addition, the 234 extra square feet includes the porch. So that includes
Okay.
everything in there. Yeah.
That's what I wondered. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So if,
Well, wait a
so,
minute, I'm sorry. To be clear on something I'm looking at, the porch is 208 square feet, right?
208 square feet. Yep.
Addition. That's additional. And then the addition, you know, the enclosed bedroom, et cetera, is 101 square feet.
But some of that's existing already. So it's not all
Oh,
addition.
so it's confusing when you have addition
Yeah.
101 square feet. I get it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now I see where the numbers add up. So, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure.
It looks like in the drawing that Julie showed us, the 101 was new.
But you're saying it's not.
It's not all new. Yeah.
Well, it's new in the sense that it was never enclosed. It's now become a room.
True. True.
But it's basically, it looks to
See,
me,
addition 101 square feet, that's new.
but that's the whole thing, including the prior porch.
And
Yeah.
then the porch is 208, so the total addition is 309.
Mhm.
But some of that exists. It's not any extra square footage to the area of the house.
yeah, but it's open space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Jill?
No?
No,
Jill, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I hope, obviously this is something I would really like to do for my family, right? And obviously I'm here because the way I understood it was that, I have a hardship and I'm unable to build backwards. And so, yeah, I'm looking to you guys to accept that I can, and as an exception to the variance, and approve this so that I could do the work. That would, that's really it. That's why I'm here. I would never do anything to hurt anyone else, right? I don't think that I'm offering anything that impacts any of my neighbors or anyone, so.
Okay, I am going to close the public hearing. And I'm going to open the regular meeting. So Jill, you can't, we can't ask you questions and you can't talk in this part of the meeting. So we need to go around again and have people identify themselves. Nanette Falkenberg, Chair.
Jim
Steve
Kelly?
Meyer. Go ahead. Somebody go. Steve Meyer.
Karen,
oh, Karen Copta,
Margaret Miner.
Jim
Sue?
Kelly?
Jim Kelly, and Sue.
Sue
Yep.
Scott.
Okay, I'm going to move up Jim Kelly and Steve Miner.
Meyer.
And open the, Julie, do you have to read the notice again?
No, I don't have to.
Okay. All right, the floor is open for discussion.
can we go back to get rid of the drawings unless people want to see that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, discussion.
I drove by the, the site and it seemed that there's, a very clear issue of topography. It looks like the house butts right up to, a ledge or, significant slope in the back, so that there's, in my mind, there is no possibility at all of expanding it in any other direction. So in terms of a topographical hardship, that definitely exists in my mind.
Jim, Margaret, Steve?
Well, I'll weigh in with this as a newcomer. I absolutely agree there's a topographical hardship, but is it one that is such that we should allow this? And that's my question. And I bow to the others in their opinions because obviously I'm the new person here, but it strikes me as you could argue, I'm not so sure topography should be the determining factor to say yes here. So.
Okay, Steve?
Just in terms of what we spoke about before, didn't we at the last meeting approve a variance to the side,
Did.
which was the house, that red house that was on the sort of right on, I forget which route it was.
Right, 47.
Yeah. So I assume we can. I mean, it's
Was
sort
it
of,
the same hardship?
Yes. It
yeah, it
was
was very similar. It was wetlands and then slope. There was a stream, wetlands, and slope.
Margaret?
I agree that well, I have visited the house in the past, but the topography I'm sure is the same. It's steep back there. I'm just thinking of some other issues that have come up. We had a question about what was the definition of enclosing a porch and making it a living space. And we wrestled with that at one point. And then I'm wondering about the extension of the nonconformity, which I think it would be desirable if that could be eliminated from the application. I don't know if it can be, but that makes it a little more difficult to consider favorably.
In what sense? Could you explain that, Margaret? Please.
Well, I think all of the work will be done under a variance, but some of the work actually increases the nonconformity, and it would be good if it didn't. That's because that's basically what we're trying to avoid.
And are you when you say that, are you referring specifically to the new porch, unenclosed porch, the porch that now will extend on the entire side of the house,
Yeah,
absent
you
the
have
extension?
the 8-foot increase in the nonconformity.
Including making the current back porch come out further.
I don't have the pictures in front of me, so I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, but
Margaret,
okay, no, I understand, but I could more easily see saying yes to the extension that now will be an enclosed bedroom, because I could see technically you could argue that's the back of the house, though it does affect how you look at the so-called front of the house. The porch, the new porch, is very much the front of the house, and I can see the necessity for an extra bedroom. You have family, blah blah blah. No, I shouldn't say blah blah blah. I just say you have family. You want to accommodate this very nice woman's request, but the open porch seems to be like, okay, well, let's also throw in this thing which is going to be, in my view, more visible than the enclosed bedroom, and that's where I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, could I just ask, when you were just speaking, were you referencing a problem with enclosing the old porch and bringing it forward?
No.
Or with the other porch?
I oddly do not have a problem with enclosing that.
No, I'm
Now,
asking
that's
Margaret
basically-
what her objection was. Jim,
Oh, I
you
see.
understood.
My apologies.
No, I just, because Margaret, I wasn't sure which part of it you had a problem with.
Me?
You.
I think we ordinarily try and try to do the best we can, if we're going to approve an addition, that it not increase the nonconformity. I think you need a variance just basically to do this work, but does it need to increase the nonconformity? And maybe it does. I don't know. Usually I rely on someone with a building expertise to take a look at it and see if an increase in the nonconformity. We've had various kinds, overhangs and this and that. Is it essential? Do we want to approve that? That's my question.
Got it. Thank you.
Karen? Did you want to add anything else?
Do I want to add? And
You don't have to. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah,
you
no,
had-
I'm like scrunching up my face during this whole thing. I get I think the overall, to me, the overall addition is, I think, well within the 25% that the zoning regulation requires, were it not, if it were to be in the back, you know, the amount of the square feet of, so
Okay.
pardon me?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask you more about what you're saying.
I'm saying that it seems reasonable for my understanding of what we are allowed to do to approve the application, because she cannot go, you know, the property owner cannot go in any other direction, and the additional, even though it increases I assume you're saying it increases the nonconformity by going closer to the property line, but that, again, I think that the property owner has no choice other than to go where they're going, and that the total amount of the addition is small, is under 25% of the total square footage of the house. And
I feel like the zoning commission, I feel like this is a little bit like the law of unintended consequences, because I don't think the zoning commission was intending to say, if you can't go to the back, then you can go to the side. I think they were saying, we're going to make a modest exception, and we're going to allow it when it will not be visible from the front of the house, from the road. And so my concern is that we're going around in a circle, and we're losing sight of what I think the zoning commission has, by moving it up and making it clearer, saying that basically you have to have a really good, and this is what Gail has really drilled into us, you have to have a really good reason to allow an expansion of the nonconformity. You have to have a really good reason to allow any kind of building where it's not, where you're not decreasing the nonconformity. And I think I'm where Jim is, which is I'm very comfortable with enclosing the porch in the back. I think you could probably do that within the 25% rule without a variance.
Well, we don't. Oh,
It's
sorry.
not in the back, Nanette. It's all in one straight line.
No, it's not, Karen. The enclosed porch is in the back, and then it comes out a little bit. The porch is being enclosed, and then it comes out a little bit. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with the new porch.
I think, you know, what Annette's saying is something that's been in my mind. You know, what's a hardship and what do you give a variance for? If a family needs more space and wants to expand, I don't know how much was already there, but 60, 70 square feet, you know, that could be the basis of it. And I think Jim made a good point that in a sense would abut the back. But I don't think a porch to increase the variance would, you know, is what was contemplated. I mean, I don't know how that, you know, would be necessitated as a hardship.
I have, Margaret has a question relating to what I think we just called the 25% rule. What I'm wondering is, are we supposed to, from now on, have a presumption that an applicant has some sort of right to a 25% increase?
The way it's being managed now, Margaret, as I understand it, is if John Cody feels that he can grant that, if John Cody feels like the proposed expansion fits into the 25% regulation, which is 3.10.6.1, right? Then he will take it, and Julie, correct me if I've got this wrong. He will then bring it to the zoning for a special permit.
I haven't, that is the way I'm reading it too,
Yeah,
but we
And that's
haven't
the
had
way-
one yet. Yes.
right. And that's the way that Kim Tester explained it to me. So it would never come to us in that case, Margaret. We
Well,
would
it's
never
coming-
see.
But we're seeing it,
This is coming to us now because John felt this did not, the entirety of the presentation did not meet the 25%. What was allowed under the 25% expansion to the back.
Because
I
it-
understand that, but we are sort of assuming, we seem to be assuming that if the requested expansion is no greater than 25%, we should, there's a presumption, I'm not sure it's true or not true. There's a presumption that that's okay now, whereas I don't think that presumption existed before.
I don't think, well, I'll speak for myself. It's not my presumption. My presumption is we're still trying to decrease the nonconformity, or at worst, not allow the nonconformity to
Right.
increase.
So you're not considering whether it is more or less or closer or further from 25% or not.
I
That's not,
think that's when we get into trouble because people are asking for an exception to the exception.
I agree with you. I just wanted to be sure I understood.
And the exception to the exception is because it's a lateral addition? Or is it because it's closer to the property line?
I don't think zoning was saying you can go back you can build 25% to the back, but if you can't do that, that's grounds for a hardship for ZBA to then allow you to do something which we're explicitly saying in the zoning that you can't do. I'm just, Karen, I guess another way to think about it is if the 25%, before the 25, if you were just considering this as a straight application for a hardship to expand the nonconformity by 300 feet, is that something that you think that's how I'm thinking about it?
And so you're thinking, well, okay, it might be reasonable to request additional living space, but it's not really necessary or reasonable to request a porch.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think what I'm saying is most of it is in the back of the house. A little part will come out laterally, I understand that. But that's my reasoning.
Well, is it too much to split the baby in two here and say no front porch? That's taking up most of the lateral side of the house there, but that we will allow the modest extension. That means enclosing the current porch in the back and bringing it forward by X number of feet. Because we're going to make believe that's the back of the house. So
we would basically be approving 101-foot expansion to allow her
Right.
to enclose the back porch.
right. Well, I could get behind that. So
Margaret?
Well, I agree with the approach. We've typically, I think in the past, maybe when there's been a builder or architect, put more of an effort in trying to avoid an increase in the nonconformity.
We have.
We just kind of sit here, oh, well, it has to be that way. And I'm not a builder and I'm not an architect, so maybe it does have to be that way. Maybe there's no other way of getting what the applicant is reasonably requesting without that increase in the nonconformity. But I'm just pointing out, we usually usually sort of puzzle over the drawings, trying to figure out if it could be reduced. And I can't, and I'm terrible at that. So I rely on, I don't know, Bill Davies or someone to do it.
Right.
With this, as I see the, or saw the house and see the plans, like the way you get in and out of the house is where those steps are. That Jill is telling us that the new front porch would not go beyond where those steps currently exist. So, in terms of.
I don't know if she means where the steps currently exist. I think she
Pardon me?
means where the steps would exist if the new unenclosed porch was added.
The new unenclosed porch would not exceed where those steps currently are, as I understand it.
Well, I certainly could be wrong.
That's, I believe that's.
I find that hard to believe looking at the pictures, but you may be right.
Well, I think if you look at the picture showing the existing front of the house, and you look at those steps, I could believe that comes out approximately 8 feet. What I think the applicant is doing is putting an 8-foot porch, and then there's still going to be some steps down, so it may actually come out a bit more. That I'm not sure. But you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and there's sort of a little platform, and that could well be 8 feet or something like 8 feet. What's existing?
Well, you have a very, very good point there, which is the actual porch floor itself will not extend beyond where the current stone steps are, but
Right.
you will need 4 steps additional to get to that porch. And I think what the extension, the enclosed bedroom, is it wouldn't go any further than where the current steps are. But as you can see from the first floor addition architectural drawing, the 4 steps that would lead up to the porch extend, far beyond the what the enclosed bedroom situation is. So I think you've solved the problem. It's basically they're asking for more than, I would approximate this to be another 12 feet from the front door to the bottom step of the new porch.
That sounds about right, because the drawing shows that the proposed porch is 8 feet without the steps.
Right.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, I would entertain a motion. Margaret, do you want to make a motion?
No, I would love Alan to make a motion.
What?
I would like our lawyer to make a motion.
I think she's referring to you, Steve.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Well, I think
Sorry,
you're gonna
Steve.
need, you're gonna
You're
need-
the one I meant. You're the one I meant.
you're gonna need two motions. One is to each part of the variance. This, as you pointed out originally, Nanette, there's really two portions to it. There's
Yeah.
enclosing the porch and then the new proposed porch. So I guess the first motion would be, and I haven't done one of these, so forgive me and please correct me, whether we approve a variance to enclose the existing porch, and I think it comes forward, it looks like about 5-6 feet, and
Right.
it's shown on the drawings.
Okay, do you want to make that motion?
Yeah, sure.
I think it comes forward closer to 8 feet, but yes, I agree. I understand what the motion is.
Okay, there is a motion on the table to approve a variance. Julie, you're gonna have to help us here. To approve a variance to allow the enclosure of the existing,
I would call it existing rear porch.
existing rear porch, thank you. The existing rear porch and its expansion up to 101 square feet. Does that do it, Julie?
I think so. So basically, to approve the variance at 134 River Road to enclose the existing rear porch and its expansion up to 100 square feet.
Up to
It's
100.
100, 101.
I'm sorry, 101 square feet.
And
Okay, is there a second?
second.
I'll second the motion. Oh, I made it.
I don't want to be a pain here, but did she say something about she didn't think that if you took the porch as it now exists, okay, and you enclose it and bring it out, I don't know if I think she thought the 101 square feet was the total of the newly enclosed porch plus the extension coming out. So that's the way I understand it, but believe me, I could be wrong.
In aggregate, it shows it as 101 feet. The
I think
prior
the new
area and the new area.
The new porch, the unenclosed new porch was 200 and some square feet. And then the addition to the enclosure, to the current porch was 101 square feet.
Not the addition, but the total space of
Because you were enclosing the porch, yeah.
the proposed total space of the
It's a new bedroom.
currently unenclosed, but when it were
No,
become,
that's what I'm saying. So they enclose the bedroom and build it out so it's a total of 101 square feet, which including the unenclosed porch at the moment. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we don't agree to enclosing the porch and letting her build out another 101 square feet. That's all.
Okay, so Julie, can you read the
Wait.
motion?
Okay, well, that's a different motion then.
Yes, it
basically,
is.
to approve the variance at 134 River Road to enclose the existing rear porch and therefore not to exceed 101 square feet, or do you want to just get rid of that?
Genius. No, genius. That is a genius way of putting it.
Okay.
Enclosing the porch and extending it, but not to exceed 100 square feet. That includes the enclosed porch area plus the slight addition going forward.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Steve,
I actually didn't say that very well, but you know what I mean.
Steve, do you do you agree to the edits to the motion?
Absolutely. Totally.
Okay. Julie, would you read it one more time?
Okay. To approve the variance on 134 River Road to enclose the existing rear porch not to exceed 101 square feet. Which, do you want me to add, which includes the addition, or just leave it?
No, I think you have to say including the, I think what,
Not to exceed, including the addition. Okay.
right, for a total
Okay,
of
and that's where the
101 square
period's
feet.
going.
Right.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jim seconds. Discussion.
I'd like to suggest adding to the resolution, the reasons, so that we're not all giving separate reasons instead of saying, well, I'm agreeing to her reason. I think, haven't we sort of started, could we have an addition for the reason that a genuine hardship exists and the request is reasonable, or whatever our reasons are, and then we can all sign on to the same reasons.
Okay, Margaret, would you like to say your reasons?
I think that our reasons are, for the reason that a genuine that we have ZBA found, or board found that a genuine hardship exists, and that the application was for a reasonable. The application was for a reasonable expansion. And that's as far as I would go. Maybe people would like to add better or more reasons.
Should we put in because of the topography somewhere?
And that a genuine hardship exists because of the topography.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that's all you need to say.
All right, so let's go around and what we need to do is just either agree with Margaret's reasoning or add your own reasons to the discussion. I concur with Margaret with
I
the
concur
reasons
with
as
Margaret.
Margaret outlined them.
I agree.
concur too. I agree.
Steve,
I agree.
Karen,
I agree.
okay. Now we have to have a formal vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Yay.
Aye.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
All right. So to follow I think the reasoning of the board, we now need a motion to deny the variance to build the proposed new front porch.
Julie, help.
Start with the square footage. And you could also, I suggest stating that you couldn't find a hardship.
Right, but we need the motion first.
Okay,
So-
so we're going to start off with a motion to deny the addition of a front porch to 134 River Road.
Correct.
And actually I have to look at that number myself. Was the 208 square feet.
Right.
And then I would just keep it simple. You're denying the addition of the 208 square foot front porch due to the lack of a hardship.
I think that's all we need to say.
Right.
Well, there is a hardship. It's the same hardship.
Well, but there's a hardship and there's a hardship. I mean, no, I would disagree. I would say that, she wants, to enclose a space for her family and make it into a bedroom. And that's about housing and that's about, you know, that the porch is kind of a, you know, it's not a necessity. So
Well, our reason, that's our reason. We're saying the porch
our
is
reason
not a
is that we don't.
necessity.
Do we need it?
It's more visible, whatever, but I mean,
Oh,
the
I see what you're saying.
topography,
So
yeah,
we
the
need a
topography
reason.
didn't change.
Well, it's a, I don't know. You guys know better than I do, but because it's a lateral expansion. But she would argue that letting the enclosed bedroom come out by 6 or 8 feet is expanding the house. But I'm not the expert, so however you want to put it. But I think the porch is not, you know, part of defining a hardship is that there's a necessity here, and there's no necessity for a porch, open porch.
No, that's separate. That's separate from the hardship. The hardship is just the topography. It's just the land, the terrain, the wetlands, the ledge. The
But
fact that there might be a hardship on the family if they didn't have a bedroom, that's not a hardship. That's not a hardship technically that we're considering.
But Margaret, but the topography doesn't come into play here, because she's not saying if there wasn't a stone wall in the slope, I would put it in the back.
But we're not saying we're approving it because there's not a hardship. We don't necessarily need to reference the hardship at all, but the
Okay.
hardship didn't disappear.
Oh, okay.
We don't need to
That's
reference
good. Oh, I misunderstood. Then we can just say no.
Well, you have to, I think we're required to give reasons for saying no.
Okay, let's do this. Let's make the motion. The motion is to deny the request for to expand to deny the request for variance to build a 208 square foot front porch. Period. And then we will discuss our reasons and put that into the record. We don't have to have our reasons in the motion.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then fine with me.
Julie, do you have that?
I do. I have motion to deny the request for variance at 134 River Road to build a 208 square foot front porch, period. And then, but I don't know, so who made the motion? Who's going on record for it?
I'll go on record for it.
Okay. And then we'll need a second, and then we can have your reasons of why
Right.
separately.
We need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Margaret, do you want to start with your reasons?
No, I'd like to hear other people's reasons and piggyback, perhaps.
No, I see.
Steve?
Okay, I believe that the change in the zoning regulations contemplates limiting lateral expansion. And it could be argued that the creation of the new bedroom is to an extent part of the rear of the house. Certainly the existing porch was on the rear of the house, as well as on the front of the house, on the side of the house. And I think we should be very skeptical of allowing lateral expansion, except where there's true hardship and a really compelling reason, and I don't find that here.
That's terrific. I mean, that's so well put. That's great. That's my reason too.
I concur. Karen? Margaret?
I concur except I would say that we did not find a reasonable need, a reasonable need for the porch. I agree with the way Steve put it. It's the zoning contemplated no lateral expansion. And for the front porch, we did not find a reason. I would say my reason would be that we did not find a reasonable need to make that kind of expansion. I'd stay away from the word hardship.
Karen,
Um,
you don't have to concur.
yeah, no, I'm sorry not to, that as a group, we don't, I would approve it. I would approve the addition of the bedroom and the porch.
Okay.
But I understand that as a board, we now have a new regulation about a higher standard, if any, is required for a lateral expansion. So on the basis of that, I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Any further discussion? I will call the question. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay.
So can we get rid of this?
It's
Laura?
still.
Oh, yes, I can get rid of that.
So Jill, we're still in regular session, so I can't let you speak, but you, Karen will send you a letter, a formal letter. Karen, Julie will send you a formal letter, and you can go from there.
So right now we go into an appeal period for 15 days.
Other people can appeal.
Other people can appeal the decision, yes. So it'll get published again on like within day 15, and then you will get your letter after that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Can I say bye?
Huh?
Bye.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jill.
Okay, the last item of business is approval of minutes, and then I do have something that I just wanted to add, but I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing and special meeting of November 28th, 2021. Do I have a motion to accept?
Sure, yeah.
I think Jim. And a second,
I'll second it.
Steve.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, aye, sorry.
So, as I said I think in the public hearing, I do think that unintentionally zoning has now created a really complicated situation for us. And
Why would they walk it back? Like, what, do
they
you know?
didn't walk it back.
It seems to, well, anyway.
Wait,
sorry.
what do you think they walked back?
Well, it seemed to me that they made this, this 25%, made it possible for us to make some approvals and for people to expand property, and now they've put, I'm not sure why, maybe it was in that memo that we got, but why they would tighten the regulations, they would say, oh, you can't, it can only go in the back.
That's exactly what it said before.
Then
I think,
why did we at last session approve that other addition that is not in the, is in the front?
It was lateral, no, it was lateral,
It's on the side.
so.
Yeah,
Right.
why was that okay and then this isn't?
For me,
I'm asking not.
that reminds me to, I should have abstained from the minute. I think there's one thing that Karen said, that when zoning passed the rules, it wasn't to make it possible for us to give 25% more. It was to make it possible for the applicant to get 25% more without ever coming to us.
that's exactly right.
I
Right.
agree with that.
But if there was an issue such as topography that precluded them from going back, that they were allowed to come. And in that case, it was appropriate to come to us.
The second part, they never said. The second part, they never said. Nobody ever expected, I don't think, that people would see this now as an opportunity to come and that's why I keep calling it an exception to the exception. I don't think they foresaw that. I think this came about actually at our request when we could not, we were so constrained about what we could and couldn't give a variance for, and how little leeway we had, that they did the 25% as a way to allow a modest expansion in one direction where nobody would see it. But I don't think they ever envisioned that somebody would come to us and say, well, now there's a zoning regulation that you can go backwards and we can't go backwards, so now we want to go to the side. I don't think anybody foresaw that. Maybe somebody should have, but I don't think anybody did, because the governing regulation still is, you're not supposed to expand. We're not supposed to allow expansion of a non-conforming dwelling in a non-conforming on a non-conforming lot. But the goal is to
Is there some
keep it
weird,
the same or reduce it. What?
I can't hear you, Nanette. There's some kind of interference going on.
So, excuse me, it's Julie. I'm looking at it, and it looks like we're getting interference from Sue and from Jim. So I don't know if they're picking up static on there. But
Can you
yeah,
guys go on? Can you guys mute?
Sure.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
So all I was saying, Karen, was I think nobody expected this new wrinkle, which is that people would appeal because they don't qualify under the 25%. I don't think anybody saw that coming. They were saying, let's allow this modest expansion, not if you can't meet this modest expansion, you can go and do explicitly what you could never do before.
I don't follow, Nanette, I'm sorry.
Okay, was that Steve?
Yeah,
Yes.
So I don't think they saw this as a new zoning reg that was then like, I can't explain it very well. The only way I think about it is, okay, this is an exception. So we will allow in this very modest exception, we will allow you to go backwards 25%. I don't think they saw it taking this, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't explain it.
Can I ask, say a different way, maybe? What
Yes.
happens in that situation if, because of topography or whatever like that, you can't go back? You can only go laterally or forward.
Well, then,
I think, my opinion, then we should deny it.
so
But
this is
sorry.
the application that came in last meeting and the application that came in this meeting. Last meeting, and I should abstain because I wasn't there, but when I read it, I thought, uh-oh. The application that came in last meeting was for an exception to the part of the statute that has 25%. The application tonight, did that have the same part of the statute that it was referencing? I thought it was just the traditional setback. In other words, I think the two applications referenced two different parts of the statute, but I'm not sure, so I'm asking. Maybe Julie can.
I'm not sure either, Margaret. I believe though we approved it on the basis of topography. What they were asking for could not go any other place on the property. So we said, okay, you can put it where you're asking for. I don't remember which reg.
I think if I had been operating last month under these clarified regs, I wouldn't have voted for, I wouldn't have supported it.
That's the answer then.
I think they really clarified their intent. I think they moved up from it being buried in the middle of everything else. The first, they put in, except as expressly permitted in these regulations. It is the general intent of these regulations that nonconformity shall not be expanded. And what they're asking for is not expressly permitted. So for me, the regs are just clarified. And as I said, under these regs, I wouldn't have supported the ones from last month. That's just me.
And just to help me understand, not last month, but now moving forward, from tonight moving forward, our ability to grant a variance has become once again constrained. Has been limited. Unless it goes in it seemed like we have been down to topography is our only acceptable hardship.
So another way of perhaps looking at it, and maybe to get some clarification, is should an applicant be, when they bring an appeal to us, should they be bringing it at 3.1.7? Should they be bringing it under the, as the previous applicants did, they asked for an exception to the exception. I think the applicant tonight just asked for a straightforward variance, but does it make a difference? And is there a right or wrong, or would we have a preference as to which statute they were appealing from when they bring us, which part of the statute they're appealing from when they bring us, when an appeal comes into us? Is it is it appropriate to have it be appealing the exception as they did last month? Or is it not? Should these things come in as regular appeals for variances?
So what I was starting to say before was, I think we need to have a conversation with the zoning commission. And either as a ZBA together with the zoning commission, or a couple of us with, I had a long talk with Kim Tester, who is the vice chair and who was the drafter of a lot of these things. And, she was the one who reinforced for me the fact that they really did want to, at first, stress and get back to the fact that expansion of non-conforming properties is to be discouraged, except in the most in the rarest set of circumstances, or the rarest possible. And I feel like when we go back to when we rely on the 25%, what we do is we ignore that original foundation of the reg, which is, it's not our job to allow expansion of non-conforming properties. Our job actually is to protect the non-conforming properties from expansion.
So why did we need a ZBA then? I mean, if zoning isn't going to sign off on it under that 25%, then where does our jurisdiction extend to approve any kind of increase in nonconformity?
I think that's what has to be addressed with the commission, because it's a real issue. And I sort of have the same feeling that if they want to only permit the one variation, and if that variation is almost granted as of right, then what's the zoning board for? The zoning board of appeal for?
Of course, people could move their doorways around left, right, and center. And I think I know people in Roxbury that would figure that out, where the side becomes the back. We've seen that. The accessory building becomes the main building. Sorry to joke about it.
No, good to add some levity, but it does seem to like, well, now we're back to between the rock and a hard place, only more so. Like, what's the point?
Okay, so
can I have an offer? Not offer, but ask. Also, maybe a dumb question. Why do they change the zoning?
That's what Nanette was trying to explain to us.
So what happened, as I understand it, most recently was they were going to create a new set of regulations about adaptations of historic barns.
Okay. Never mind. I know it. It's about
right.
It's about the Carter dormer.
Exactly.
Yeah, what we call dormer gate.
Yeah, when they started to do that, they realized that the whole section, this whole nonconformity section, was a mess, which it was.
Yes. Okay. I get it.
And
I get it now. Yeah. Now I've been involved in this
just dig in and try to clarify this and really be clear with what our intent is, which is why they moved that section about the general intent of these regulations, why they moved that up front. And they a couple of times.
It was an attempt to be more flexible, to show more leeway, and to take some of the job away from John Cody. I know what you're alluding to. It's the Carter residence near Town Hall.
that's what precipitated the whole revision of the section.
Yes, but what we're
Once they
left with
got
now
into
is,
it, they realized that
described,
it really
we're left
needed
with-
reworking. And
Right.
as they reworked it, they put in phrases like except as expressly permitted. And
I got it. So to fix something that they felt had to be fixed, they've now left us with really kind of in a straitjacket.
well,
Right.
I think when people don't know the history and they come and they read the regulations, this is why I'm saying it's an unintended consequence. People come and read the regulations. They don't know where that 25% came from. They don't know that it was already an exception. And they say, oh, well, we can't do this, so let's get a variance from this zoning regulation.
Yes, but this woman applied under the old
Yeah,
regulations. So.
that's what I thought.
She did.
Yes.
Yes.
So she got
Let
caught.
me ask a slightly, actually related question. I hope it's related. So what if someone comes forward to us with a request for a variance to change the front of the residence, which we all agree is aesthetically far superior to what presently exists, but because it's not in the back, we have to say no?
Yes.
Don't we have some leeway?
No.
We have no leeway. So the famous architect comes here and says, I'm redesigning this house and I'm making the front just look like the pyramid in front of the Louvre Museum in Paris. We won't even, it's something we don't even get to weigh in on because it's, even though it makes it look, by the way, I can't imagine a situation where a glass pyramid in front of a house in Roxbury will have the same impact as in front of the Louvre. So I'm using sort of a silly example, but we never get into aesthetic stuff.
No, no.
Correct.
But if they wanted to do it without expanding, I mean, that's the irony, is if they wanted to do it without expanding the nonconformity, they could do it without coming to us because the issue is expansion.
Well,
they could do it if it's in the back, right? If you could have the glass pyramid in the back as long as it's not more than 25% bigger than the actual house, right?
They'd have to get a special permit from zoning.
Excuse me 1 second. I got a message from a client that there's an emergency, which I have to call about a half an hour ago, and I'm going to go and do that.
So
you know,
I think we should, I think we should adjourn the meeting and let me try and work something out with either part of the zoning commission or the whole commission so we can meet together.
Good idea.
that's the best idea because we can clarify this.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
A
you. Hey, this
motion
is a
to
lot of fun.
adjourn.
We should have these meetings once a week. I think they're a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sure.
I make a
A
motion. that we
motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we
Motion.
adjourn.
I agree.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night,
Night.
everyone.
Thanks,
Be well.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.